here's my interview with Travis Mills.
So you are coming hot off of the Pendragon whole cycle, and also you had your film festival as well, too.
Yeah, I mean, not much of a break for me. I got back to the States on January 2nd, spent a week in Nashville working at the Daily Wire office with Dallas and Jeremy and them, watching some of the first edit come together, which was really cool. But I'm not super involved with post-production, so I went off to Arizona right after that and had the Tombstone Film Festival that it's in its second year in Tombstone. And it's the best place you could have a Western film festival, that's for sure. Can't think of a better town in the United States. And it was awesome. We had a great year. We had more international films play this year than American films. So we had Westerns from Spain, Switzerland, Kazakhstan. A Kazakhstani Western won Best Feature Film. That was our choice. So freaking cool. So great year. Festival's growing. So that's one of my side projects that's doing well.
Definitely go follow that on Instagram. It's great to be able to see those. If anybody has seen some of your work on Pendragon, you had a massive beard. At what point in the process did you shave that glorious beard?
I finally shaved in November. I got to play a small part in the series. I got to play a character named Loader. He's in one scene, pretty great scene. So I basically kept the beard for that for a very, very long time. And my dating life suffered miserably as I looked like a wild animal wandering around in Budapest. But long story short, yeah, so I filmed my role, and pretty much 2 days later, Dallas, the main producer on the project, actually shaved my beard and also shaved my head almost like buzz cut. I was like, good God, man. But it was a pretty funny experience. And then I walked around set and almost no one recognized me. And there's people that had no idea it was me. So yeah, you won't see in the behind the scenes, you won't see this Travis for quite a while now.
That's great. No, it looked like a fun process. So what is that like when you're called to a project? You're like, you know what, this one has major funding, multiple crews.
Well, it was actually a year ago, a little bit more of a year ago, that Dallas hit me up. We'd worked together on Terror on the Prairie. We talked about doing more, in between Terror and Pendragon. And he hit me up about working on it. And I knew at that point that it would be a step up for me. I knew it would be a huge opportunity, something completely different. It meant that pretty much for a year, I had to put aside all of my personal projects. I was supposed to go direct a Western feature film, Killin' Jim Kelly, in Texas. I was only like 2.5 months away from it. Had to give it to my buddy John Mars instead to direct while I stayed on as a executive producer. But I knew I was setting aside a lot, but that I would gain a lot too. I didn't know what I would gain at that point. I didn't know what the journey would look like, but I just knew that it would be huge. And obviously Dallas is one of the best producers out there. So the opportunity to go to battle with him again was just incredible.
Yeah, one of the things I do want to call out, because you're probably not going to say about yourself, you seem to me like working hard itself is just formed into a human. You're being handed a lot of responsibility, more than you're even originally brought on to do. So talk to us a little bit about what your responsibilities were like being brought into Pendragon.
Yeah, for Terror, they brought me in as the Western guy because I'd made all these Westerns, right? Horses and guns. But then I ended up, of course, truly helping produce it. I wasn't the lead producer, but helping produce it, helping push anything I could along that was not, progressing. And then I ended up shooting camera for 3 weeks on it. I mean, it was just crazy. Like I was doing so many things. I think that, I can't speak for him, but I think Dallas hired me on Pendragon as that guy. He's like, he would joke around, Travis is going to run off in the woods with a camera and get cool shots. But then, this was a huge project, much, much bigger than Terror. And one thing that I had in my tool belt was that I had produced these 12 Westerns in 12 months in 2020. So I had literally done prep, production, and post for 365 days, really more than that. And that equipped me for this to at least begin. And I think that here I was able to show people that, okay, I'm not just a run and gun guy. I can actually organize a big production And organizational skills for a producer are huge. Like you have to have really strong preparation, pre-production to make a show like this. And it just turned out that I was kind of the one pushing that along, one of the people that was really driving it through the process.
That's great. And so from what it looks like, it seemed like there were 3 kind of main crews that were filming in. What does that look like?
Well, I actually didn't do a ton of directing on this. I was mostly a producer. Really, any time that I did step away to direct, things would fall through the cracks, and they're like, "We need you to go back to producing." But I was able to direct a few small scenes, which was obviously awesome. Kind of some second unit stuff. We had 2 full crews running, Wolf unit and a Hawk unit, and then I don't know, just almost a week or 2 into the process, I created my own rogue crew, and I called it Boar Unit. And these are all named after animals that are featured in the show. And there's a boar in the show. So I was like, I'll be Boar Unit. And one of the first things we shot was a wild boar, a real wild boar roaming around in this environment.
So wait, you came up with that name before you were assigned the boar scenes?
No, I basically had to assemble a crew on a weekend on like a Sunday to shoot the boar scene. And then I started to, like, we would assemble Boar Unit whenever it's like, oh shoot, we're missing a scene. Boar Unit can pick it up, right? We need Boar Unit to come into Italy and help us out with our schedule and stuff. So we're like a ragtag group of mercenaries that would get pulled together whenever needed.
So talk to me a little bit about that, though. There's a lot of traveling that happened for the production. But was that a crazy element to add on top of a production to be able to constantly be moving?
Well, one of the biggest challenges of the production actually was before we started filming was the scouting phase, because we initially scouted in the UK, and then we ended up going to Eastern Europe, and we visited Bulgaria, Serbia, Hungary, Romania, Italy. I stayed behind, went to all those countries again, then added Slovakia. Like, it was nuts. It was like a whole month and a half of just being constantly on the road, which of course I'm used to, but even for me, it was a lot. But I got to see some amazing places, meet some incredible people. I would love to work there more. We chose Hungary and Italy, 2 great countries, but I would love to make a film in Romania. I'd love to make a movie in Bulgaria. Those are just beautiful countries. People would be surprised how much they look like the US. There's a reason these Hollywood productions like go to Romania to film Cold Mountain, because it sells. Or you can go to Slovakia and shoot a film that's supposed to be set in Montana, But back to your question, once we picked our countries, we didn't move around a ton, especially in Hungary. We were able to stay within, let's say, an hour of Budapest, which is nice because you're not having to hop from hotel to hotel. We were able to settle in. In Italy, we did film in quite a few places. We filmed in the north of the country. We filmed in Abruzzo, which is east of Rome, south of Rome. So during those, 4 or 5 weeks, we were definitely moving around quite a bit.
So now let's talk just a little bit about the story that's at the heart of it. Who is it that kind of has the story in their heart that's getting that out to the rest of the crew? Who would you say that is when you're talking Pendragon?
Well, this is Jeremy Boring's passion project, one of his favorite books. He's the one that spurred this on. He loves the Stephen Lawhead novels, Taliesin, Merlin. I've read those 2, and they're great. If people have not read them, you really got to check it out. A really incredible story that you get wrapped into. And it kind of has a very different take on the whole Merlin thing that we haven't seen before. A little more grounded in history. It has a Christian element to it, but the Christian element it's not preachy. It's not overwhelming. It's just fascinating. And so Jeremy had a great love for this material, and he's been thinking about it for years and years and years. So he's definitely the passion behind all of this, pushing it forward. And then you could say that, we were the soldiers that are making it happen, that are going to lead the battle cry.
That's great. You can sometimes tell when it's missing the person that cares about the source material. You mentioned one thing though, soldiers though. You guys are literally commanding armies at point. What was that like, especially when it's not just a crowd of people at a concert? These guys are holding swords. You got wild men running around besides just you. But what was that like?
Yeah, well, I definitely never worked with scenes of more than 100 people before. Now, obviously, gone are the days of Lawrence of Arabia where you literally have thousands of extras. It's too bad because that's just epic and it sells. Like the practicality is so much better than digital people running around. Yeah. But we were working with large numbers and it is very difficult. It's very difficult to communicate. And specifically, what a lot of people don't understand is when you have people, stunt people, extras, horses, it's the reset between takes that takes the longest time. Like you're like, okay, action, go. And then you're like, all right, that was okay, but let's do this. And then it takes forever to get everybody back into place to go again. I remember I was directing, one of the few scenes I got to direct was a little battle scene with Roman soldiers. And I had like 50 stuntmen to work with. And these stunt people from Hungary are incredible. Our action director, stunt coordinator, Balázs Farkas from Hungary, brilliant. And we had this super cool kind of action designer stylist from Vietnam. His name is Vidan Tran. And I remember just sitting there watching them all, rehearse the sequence. I'm like, whoa, like I can't believe I'm here right now working with 50 skilled stunt players. That's definitely on a way higher level than I'd ever experienced in my own work.
Oh, that's awesome. No, that's definitely, I think, a dream for a lot of people to be able to work with a crew that knows what they're doing, especially action scenes. So I'm guessing they come to the set with kind of that scene is already pretty well practiced whenever we're doing a stunt like that. So do you also know these are the shots specifically I'm getting for something like that? Or how much freedom do you have when you've got specifically like a scene that is mainly stunts and it's already kind of choreographed and set up?
Well, what they did and what a lot of stunt coordinators, action directors will do is they'll do previs, right? So they'll go in the training area, wherever it is, and they will do literally a shot by shot, move by move edit, right? Showing you what the fight is going to look like. And then before you get on set, you can comment on it. I mean, that's the best way to do it. For my specific approach to that scene, and every director is different, since it was one of my only opportunities to put my stamp on an action scene in the film, even if it's a small one, I was like, I want this. And I'm a huge fan of prep. So every day for like 2 weeks, Balázs and I, the stunt guy and I would talk about it. And I'd say, okay, we want to do it here. I'd say, I want to do a fall off of a tower. We haven't done that yet. I want someone to get pushed off of the tower and fall down on a wire. And he'd be like, okay, we can do that. And then I said, I want something else. I want the camera to fall with them, and they're like, you're getting a little nuts here. But I wanted to, prep it and get it as ready as it could be before you get on set. Because that's the ticket, right? When you're doing action, you're doing stunts, you can't just fly by the seat of your pants, because that's how someone gets hurt.
What's some of the styles that you want to see come through? Is there something to the style that you want to say, hey, the scenes I've worked on, I want you to feel this?
Yeah, well, I think it all depends on the project, right? I didn't direct enough of this to be able to give it any kind of style, like any true stamp of style, right? Jeremy, the other directors, Jesse Johnson, Ryan Whitaker, they're the ones that put the style on it. They gave it a feeling. And it's interesting to see some of that come about and come together as I'm watching the cuts of the episodes, right? And some of it's not predictable. Like a story kind of dictates its own style. And what I saw in my head as Pendragon when I read the books is super different than what it became. But that's because these other guys had a vision and they went, and that's what we carried it out. And as a producer, that was my job. It was not to sit there and go, they're doing this and they're doing that. It was, I am here to execute your vision and to be the person that's trying to make it come true. That's what a good producer is. A bad producer gets in the way. That doesn't mean that you don't get creative sometime, but you're creatively guiding them in their vision, not yours.
No, that's great. So in your own personal projects, though, is there a consistent thing that you want to make sure that you see come through in a style when you're the person that is the emotional, the creative leader in some of those things?
Yeah, well, I think there is a certain grit, like a certain realism that I want to feel in my work that I've pushed for and would like to continue pushing for. I think there's a reason that Dallas and I get along and have gravitated towards each other is in movies like Bone Tomahawk, Brawl, Standoff at Sparrow Creek, Dragged Across Concrete. I noticed something that I've always liked, which is just this gritty masculinity, right?
Yeah.
And, you see it in the work of John Milius, Walter Hill, some of those great directors, and I gravitate towards that. So, yeah, I would like to make some really tough movies, right? Some movies that you walk away and you go, that was muscular. Right?
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's a great way to put it. No, I think I haven't been able to put my thumb on what is the thing about this that really is it's its own style. I mean, I was just watching some of French Connection yesterday, and it has a bit of that too, where it's just kind of like, I don't know why. I know this is a film. I'm not like lost in the sense that it's not a film, but there is something about this style that just makes me feel like, yeah, but this film is being made in the real world.
Yeah, and it's not around as much as it was before in the 70s and 80s. It's just becoming kind of an extinct type of movie, which is why Dallas's movies stand out so much. It's funny you mentioned French Connection because I just dedicated my latest script that I finished this past weekend to William Friedkin, who passed away last year, one of my favorite directors. And it's not just French Connection. That, Sorcerer, To Live and Die in LA, his movies feel like they're like punching you in the face. And I'm like, that's what I want to make. I want to make a movie that you walk out and you're like, I'm a little worn out now, you know?
No, it's great. But what are some of your next steps? Are there things you're allowed to tell us? What are some of the big projects that are over the horizon for you right now?
Yeah. Well, one more thought on the festival. It's definitely going to happen annually now. After the first year, we're like, yeah, we think so. But after 2 years, it's like, this is a thing. We're already planning for next year. I mean, that's how you do it right. We just have to consistently work on it to make it great. And submissions for filmmakers open up on May 1st. So they can start submitting Western shorts and all that features on May 1st on Film Freeway. But yeah, I actually have several projects that are in post-production. I have Killing Jim Kelly, a feature film that they shot in Texas while I was overseas, which we're putting the finishing touches on and trying to just make sure that it's ready and as great as it can be. And then right around the corner, I made a documentary about my 12 Westerns, and we screened part of it at the festival just as a non-competition thing. It's called The Legacy of the 12 Westerns. And it's pretty cool because it felt like it was time to look back at what we did and to allow some other people that were involved to share about their experiences with what we were doing. But yeah, now that I'm back and, there could be more work with the Daily Wire, could be more work with Dallas. We'll see, right? The future of a filmmaker, film producer is uncertain. There's a few different scripts that I'm considering, but I actually just wrote one. It's an adaptation of Ernest Hemingway's short story, The Killers, which has always fascinated me. And it hit the public domain last year. And I finally came up with, I thought, a way to do it differently than it's been done before. It's been made twice as a feature film. Yeah. So we'll see. I just finished the script, so it's hot off the press. Wow. Sent it to some people I trust. And if it continues to move forward, that might be my next movie.
Oh, that's great. That's exciting. I always feel like as soon as I finish a film is right when I'm at the quality where I could have made that film now. Like I never know what I actually need to know until I'm done with that film. How much has working on some of these other projects been able to impact the quality that you want to bring out of your own personal projects now?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, coming off of Pendragon, which is a big production, super talented crews, learned so many lessons. And to be clear, all the things I learned on the indie movies were very applicable. If anything, that they were a huge asset that some people involved didn't have, because I've just made so many movies. I've been through so many things over the years. I've just experienced a lot of the problems that we would run into and say, well, I've done this before. Let's go this way. Let's try this. But no, coming back, the one feeling I had was, okay, I'm so proud of the work that I've done, but it's time to take it to the next level. It's time to apply the lessons of all of those films, of Pendragon, and also just to reach for a higher budget level. I feel this pressure in a good way.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Time to make something that people, when they see it, they'll be astonished. They'll say, I never saw that from Travis before. That's something new. That's awesome.
And I know that's inspiring to me. I think that'll be inspiring to a lot of younger independent filmmakers. It's very inspiring to hear that the things that independent filmmakers are learning and getting that practice isn't wasted if they want to grow in that career.
Absolutely not. No, everything you learn, every project you do, the mistakes you make, it's all applicable. And honestly, I ran into the same issues on a huge project like Pendragon as I did on my little Westerns. It's a lot of time, it's the same issues, and you're dealing with humans. So you're going to encounter the same thing. And if anything, I would encourage people to be a student of human behavior. How do you work with people? Right? Something that I'm still learning every day, because that's the key to filmmaking is working with people, whether it's actors or your crew, and how to get the best out of them. And you can do that on any level production.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and for giving some inspiration and talking to us a little bit about the project. Excited to see what it looks like. Excited to see some of the work that you got to do. And I'll be looking specifically for some boars as well, too.
Thanks, man. Boar unit forever.
Boar unit. All right.